You've gotten the lead, you've estimated the project, and you submitted your proposal. What do you do next? In this video, I'm gonna walk you step by step on how to follow up, how to negotiate, and how to close your jobs with crazy success. So this is a continuation of our 8-figure contractor series. So in the last few videos, I've talked about our overall strategy on how to take your company to $10 million. And then in the previous video, I talked about the introduction phase, which is how to get your foot in the door. And what I wanna do in this video is I wanna go deep. I wanna go step by step on how to do your follow-up. I strongly believe that most construction companies fail or they struggle because they don't bid enough jobs and they don't follow up and negotiate the right way. So I recently made a video called 27 ways to negotiate construction projects, which I'll put a link here somewhere. But in this specific video, what I'm going to talk about is the process on what you should be doing step by step. See, nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about like how to do it. So I'm going to give you literally like the execution plan on how to do it, not just the strategy. All right. So let's assume that we already bid the job, right? We got the lead, we talked to the guy, all that stuff. We bid the job, right? And we just click send on our proposal. All right, let's start there. When you submit your proposal, it's extremely important that you present it in a way that is professional. So the amateur way to do it is to send a Microsoft Word document, right? That's fully editable, right? That's a little dangerous because they can edit it. The better way, or not the better way, but I think the only way is to package it up as a PDF. So if you're using Microsoft Word, you literally just go to File, Export, PDF, boom, super easy. And that's going to professionalize. That's the one thing. Number two, you got to use a professional proposal template. This is going to give you your best shot. It doesn't have to be like super fancy because at the end of the day, your client cares about the construction. But this is a demonstration of the branding of your company. This is a subconscious communicator of your professionalism. So if you're watching this and you're like writing proposals by hand and stuff like that, don't do that anymore. We're going to switch to computers. If not, then you're going to be taken back by your competitors. They're going to beat you. They're going to surpass you. And you don't want that to happen. So you got to keep up with the technology. Very important. I can help you, by the way. If you need help with that, I'm more than happy to give you a hand. I'll put below in the description somewhere. There's going to be a link for a strategy session. So I can definitely help you figure that stuff out. So we submit the proposal, right? We PDF it, we package it up, we send it. Boom. What do we do now? We're going to pick up our phone, right? And you're going to call them and you're going to make sure that you do not hang up until they answer the phone. And the person that you're trying to reach is the decision maker. If you can't reach the decision maker, then the next best thing is to reach the estimator or the office manager. So typically if you are let's say you're a subcontractor and you're calling up, the estimator is like the first person. It's like a proposal receiver, right? They just get the proposals, they package it up, they put it in a spreadsheet, right? And if they win the job, then it's going to go to the project manager, right? And he or she is the true decider of who's going to get the job, not the estimator. Typically, when a job is going to get awarded, the PM gets assigned a superintendent. So it's a little team of two, right? And then the superintendent is going to have a say. Usually the project manager is going to say, hey, John, who do you want for your drywall? Or who do you want for your paint? Oh, I really want this guy and this guy and this guy, right? And the PM's job is going to be to go over there and try to get the guy he wants, right? Sometimes they're one of the bidders. Sometimes they're not. If they're not one of the bidders, then the PM is going to call up his boy. Hey, Pedro, I don't have your bid for this. I didn't invite you or you didn't send me a bid, but I'm interested in getting your bid for this because I want you to do it. Boom. And guess what? That guy's going to move mountains because you're literally asking him because you got the job, right? These guys want to work with awarded jobs only, like the subs. I've been on the sub side. When somebody sends me an invitation to bid that they're awarded and they just want our bid because they're ready to go, I jump on those, right? That's what you got to be. Nowadays, with spam filters and email is like primary communications nowadays, these guys get like thousands of emails a day. Trust me. So think about this, guys. If you're bidding a job, right? So if I'm an estimator and I'm working on, I don't know, 3 or 4 projects at the same time. So let's say 4. Let's pick a number. 4 projects. I'm getting proposals, right? I'm preparing the spreadsheets. 20 jobs, right? Times 3 trades per job. That's 60 proposals. 60 proposals they're going to be receiving, right? For each job times, let's say 4 jobs. So they're going to be receiving 240 different companies submitting proposals, right? Or it could be some overlapping companies, but they're receiving a bunch of proposals for these 4 jobs, right? On top of that, they're receiving tons of emails about the sale, their sales, meetings that they're having, things like that. They're getting a lot of emails on that part, right? And then they're also getting probably a lot of RFIs and questions about the projects that they're bidding. So it's not uncommon that these guys are going to get 300 to 1,000 emails per day. So with spam filters and with getting 1,000 emails a day, it's very likely that they're going to either not see your proposal or they're going to possibly overlook it. And the worst possible thing that can happen is that you don't call them and they don't notice your proposal, or they get or what could happen is they open up the email, they're about to download it to put it, and they get a phone call, and then they get sidetracked and they forget, and then boop, it stays in their inbox red, and it disappears by the 3rd day. It's 3,000 emails down. They'll never find it again. It's very important that you call them and you make sure they receive the proposal. So that's the very first thing I'm going to advise you on. The next thing is going to be our follow-up schedule. behind the scenes in commercial construction, there are a lot of moving parts. They're getting permits, they're getting financing, there's revisions. The projects always come in over budget, so they have to value engineer, so they got to drop the price, they got to go back and redesign some stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And typically the bigger the project, the longer it's going to take to start the job. So apartment buildings typically take 6 months to a year. If you're looking at like tenant build outs, it's usually 1 to 3 months, sometimes 6 months, maybe. By the way, this follow-up that I'm about to teach you, if you do not do this, just don't even bid the job. Like, forget about bidding, don't estimate. Like, this is critical. You need to spend more time on the follow-up and the negotiating and the building the relationship part than the amount of time that you spend on preparing the estimate. Is very, very important. So what you're going to do is you're going to follow up. I like to set a schedule of every 3 weeks. So if you do 2 weeks, it's too much. You become annoying. You become that guy that probably doesn't have a job and he probably sucks, right? That's the view of it. I remember one time I was doing consulting for this veterans project. They were building these 4 apartment buildings, and they asked us to do the estimate and then also to get them the subcontractors, because they needed to move forward with the financing. So I did all that and I did our estimate, and then I submitted the invitations to bid. And I remember one guy called me. He bid for the concrete and the framing and the drywall. This was a multi-million-dollar contract. He would call me every day. Hey, Daniel, I wanted to get an update on the job. I'm like, hey, look, nothing yet. We're waiting. Okay, great. The next day, hey, Daniel, I'm planning my end of the year operations. Anything yet? I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, we just talked yesterday. And he would call me every single day. So, and then when I would see my caller ID, I would just start ignoring his phone call, because I was like, man, if this guy has the time to just call me every single day, he probably doesn't have other work. So he's probably not a very good contractor. And guess what? He might be a rock star. But the fact that he's giving me this vibe of I don't really have a job and I'm desperate makes me not want to give him the job. The moral of my story is don't be annoying, right? So I think 2 weeks is too short. 4 weeks, I think, is too long. 5 weeks is too long. So I like to do 3 weeks, right? Just set up a schedule every 3 weeks. And I actually have a very cool trick on how to follow up with 1 hour per week. Because a lot of my clients, when I tell them that, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't have time. I'm so busy. I'm in the job site. I got so many things to do. I'm like, dude, 1 hour per week. You don't have 1 hour per week. So what you do is this, right? Today is, I don't know, let's just say it's a Monday. You bid a job today. You bid 2 or 3 jobs this week, right? What you're going to do is you're going to batch your follow-up. So you're going to pick 3 weeks from Friday, right? Whatever day in the week is your lightest day of the week, you're going to pick 1 hour. Typically, I would recommend doing follow-ups in the mornings, because usually the project managers will go to their office. They spend a couple hours in the office doing their paperwork, then they go to the job site. So usually first thing in the morning is usually pretty good. This could also be done by an assistant. So you can hire a secretary or a salesperson or whatever you want to call it, an office manager. You can even have a virtual assistant, somebody that speaks very good English that can call for you. What you want them to do is just follow up on the job. So every week what you're going to do is you're going to set a schedule. You're going to use a CRM. So it's time to professionalize. If you do not have a CRM, then you need to use Excel. And by the way, we're building out, at the time of this recording, we haven't finished yet, but we're building out our own CRM that's going to be perfect for this exact process. So in the future, I'll put a link below so you can check that out if that's something that you're interested in. Anyway, so you're gonna get your list, right? And let's say you say on Tuesdays at 9 a.m. I have 1 hour, right? You go down the list and you're gonna pick a third of the list, right? And you're just gonna pick up the phone. Hey, this is Daniel. I bid the ABC construction project. I wanted to get an update. Oh, nothing yet. Okay, great. By the way, do you have any other jobs coming up? Oh yeah, we have these other 3. Can you make sure I'm on the bid list? Oh yeah, of course. Super important. Always be prospecting. So these follow-up calls at their core are going to be for you to keep your finger on the pulse on the job so you can know what's going on, but always be prospecting. Do not miss out on the opportunity to ask them if they have another job, because they probably do. This is how you start building up that web of like unlimited leads. You just keep chipping at it. Boom, 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 every day. What's going to happen is for several weeks or months, they're trying to get their permits, they're trying to get their financing, and they're trying to get their prices down packed. All right. So for a long time, what's going to happen is nothing's going to happen. They're going to tell you nothing yet. Oh, I'm waiting for the owner. Oh, I'm waiting for the permit. It's between, we haven't heard anything back. So you're going to hear that for a long time, but just know that it's going to happen. Don't get like frustrated. During this time, you should also be calling the owner and the architect to find out who the other general contractors are, because you want to make sure everybody gets your proposal and you're doing the same process for every single job. Okay. Once you do the estimate once, you might as well give it to all the people that are bidding the job, because one of them is going to win. And you want to make sure that your bid goes to the person that has the job. Then what's going to happen is you're going to keep calling and following up, right? And there's going to be a point that they're going to start giving you indicators that they're getting close to the end of the process of an award. So they're going to start telling you things like, hey, can you review this scope of work? Hey, can we have a meeting? Or they're going to say, oh, look, it's between us and another company. Oh, it's really competitive. Oh, the owner's going to decide by next week. We're already having, I heard once they told me, oh, we're already having coordination meetings, but they've given us a verbal, but they haven't given us a final contract. So I started hearing things like that, right? But then what you do is then you're going to switch to every 3 days instead of every 3 weeks. So now you're at every 3 weeks, boom, you're going to compress that time frame to every 3 days, because what's going to happen is within one of those 3-day windows, they're going to get awarded the job. And if they're awarded the job, it's going to get assigned to a project manager who is a gatekeeper. He is the one that decides who's going to get the job. It's not the person you've been working with. It's not the estimator or the office manager. So what we want to do is find out who that person is as soon as humanly possible before he gives the job away to somebody else. Recently, one of my clients, we were doing a Camping World up there in Massachusetts. And I remember that the estimator, I called him up and I'm like, hey, by the way, where are you guys at with it? Oh, actually, we just got awarded the contract. I'm like, okay, but you and I have been talking for a long time. Like, why haven't you given me some feedback on this? Oh, yeah. The PM is Lori. Give her a call. I'm like, thanks, dude. Like, you could have helped me out here. You and I have talked for a while. Anyway, so the moral of that story is they're not going to help you. You got to go find your information yourself. It's if you build a good relationship, they're going to help you. But 9 times out of 10, they don't care about you. So just remember that. So you got to put the smile and, shake hands and all right, try to build the friendship. But a lot of times business is business and they don't really care. So your goal is going to be to find those people that do care because you want to build a good relationship, right? You don't want it just to be transactional. When you get to that negotiating table, at the end of the day, it's all about numbers. So the number has to be good and your sense of expertise to them has to be good too, right? Because they're going to give you a shot. And that's why I always talk about don't do like these massively huge jobs because you're going to waste your time and your money. Later on, when you have a relationship with them, you can do those jobs. But when you don't, start off with things that are not risky. Ask yourself this question. If I'm the GC and I need to hire someone or a company to go build, I don't know, the drywall scope or the framing scope or whatever trade you are, can I do it on this job? Or is it way too risky? Is this a complicated job or is this a job that I got to worry about? No, or yes, you got to think about that. So in the very next video, I talked about packages, right? I want to give you my super powerful, this thing is one of the most powerful strategies that I could ever share with you. It's called bidding packages, where literally you're gonna leverage the jobs to the core. You're gonna squeeze them out. You're gonna be able to have a lot of power when you're negotiating. So that's why I was able to close this job within an hour of negotiating because bidding packages. So go ahead and watch that video and learn my ninja trick on bidding packages.